Consider this fact, okay? You have to have faith to believe in God. Do you understand? Think about what I'm saying. You have to have faith to believe in God, to believe that God exists. That means that there's never going to be any scientific fact to give evidence of God. Because once there's scientific evidence or scientific facts that God exists, faith and believing are irrelevant. Do you follow what I'm telling you? The minute they find scientific facts to give evidence that God exists, don't believe it. Because the minute they do, they think they do, you will never need faith to believe in God. All you'll need is the facts, the scientific facts. Therefore, like I've said many times, there's never going to be any scientific proof that God exists, ever. Because the minute, think it through, if there is, faith is irrelevant. So therefore, any rational person would conclude that if you're always going to need faith to believe in God throughout humanity is always going to need faith to believe in God, there'll never be any scientific proof, ever. So forget it. But here's the problem, okay? There is scientific proof that the Holy Bible is actually 100% accurate historically. There's archaeologists over in the Middle East have uncovered many artifacts and many cities that were around the Sea of Galilee, Capernaum, Nazareth, all these towns, a lot of them still exist to this very day. You know, the story of Jericho, how the building, the outside walls came down. That is an archaeology find now, that they actually know that the building, the outer wall of the city did crumble straight down. Nevertheless, there's many scientific artifacts that support the Bible to be 100% accurate. So here you have a dilemma, okay? On one hand, you have scientists, archaeologists proving over in the Middle East through their scientific research and studies, and they're uncovering layers of history. And by the way, history is really two words. So what are they doing? They're uncovering layers of his story. This is God's story. Okay, it truly is. Do you understand? They're uncovering layers of history over in the Middle East that 100% support the Holy Bible to be 100% historically accurate. So you have science proving that the Bible is true through archaeology, but yet you'll never have scientific proof that God exists. Do you see the dilemma that you're facing? All it takes is a little jump of faith to believe that the scientists have, archaeologists have many artifacts and many discoveries over in the Middle East that prove the Holy Bible to be 100% accurate, okay, versus there's never going to be scientific proof that a God exists. All you need to do is take that little jump, that little leap of faith to believe, well, if the Holy Bible is 100% historically accurate, God must exist. Do you hear what I'm telling you? It all makes sense, doesn't it? That's because it's true. One of the things I want to do, I've tried to teach in other videos, is this is a synthetic universe. It is. What does that mean? It's not real. Okay, that's a short answer, and I know what that sounds like. What do you mean it's not real? Of course it's real. Listen to what I'm telling you, okay? I'm going to try a different approach. You have a soul, okay? Your soul is invincible. Your body is physical. You could see your body if you look in a mirror, okay? You could see other people's bodies. Can you see their minds? No. Can you see their spirit? No. Can you see their soul? No. Do you understand? You can't see the invisible part of the person. but yet it exists. You have a mind, a soul, a spirit, and a heart. Those are invincible, not your physical heart that pumps blood. Your spiritual heart that feels emotional, your emotions of love and sadness and all the things you feel. So you have your body, it's physical, we can see your body, but we can't see the invisible part of you. We truly can't, but yet it exists. But my question is, which one of those do you think is more real? Do you understand? What's more real, your mind or your body? What's more real, your soul or your body? Your body just is a house. It's a vessel that houses the most important things in this world, and that's your soul. Do you understand? Your mind, your heart, your spirit. So the invisible part of you is more real than the physical part of you. Do you understand this? Listen, I'll say it one more time. The spiritual part of you is more real than your physical body. Do you understand that? It is. Do you understand that? So I'm trying to support this notion that and explain to you, this is a synthetic world. When God said he created all this in 6 days and rested on the seventh, either that is the truth or it's a lie. And if it's a lie, the whole Bible is the world's biggest sham. It's the biggest sham in the universe then. And I'm here to tell you it's not a sham, it's absolutely true. You understand? When God made the world and the universe, he made it the way he said it in Genesis. Do you understand? He didn't take millions and millions of years to make everything. That's ridiculous to think that God would have to take millions of years to make the earth, to make the sun, to make the moon, to make the other planets. He did it on the day he said he did it. Do you understand? Think about this. He said that he made man out of dust. Okay? Why is it that people can think, okay, well, I believe he made man out of dust, but I just don't believe that the earth, he made it when he said he made it. It has to be millions of years old, but I do believe that he made man out of dust. That's ridiculous. If he could do one, he could do both, couldn't he? He certainly could make the whole universe in the days that he said he made him. Do you understand? Do you understand? I'm gonna try this approach. Who's more real, you or God? Do you understand? Whose sense of reality is greater? Your sense of reality or God's? I'm going to give you a few examples. When God spoke to Moses for the first time, he spoke to him through a burning bush. And I've stated this in other teachings. The reason he did it for the first time, he spoke to him through a burning bush because he wanted Moses to remain calm. So he did something to distract Moses. Moses had to be staring at the bush and trying to figure out why it's not burning at the same time God spoke to him for the first time. Because God is a very practical, down-to-earth God. He's more down-to-earth than you realize. He did it because he didn't want Moses to run away and think he's going crazy. He did it to distract him. If you realize, he did it the first time he spoke to him. If you read the Bible, that was the only time he used a burning bush to speak to Moses after that. He never used anything to distract Moses ever again. He only did it when he spoke to him for the very first time. And I understand that. He tried to distract him so he wouldn't run away when God tried to speak to him for the first time. Because if God ever speaks to you for the first time, he's probably going to use something to distract you so you don't think you're going mad or insane. Do you understand? Or losing your mind. He knows what you're made out of. He's the creator. You're the creation. He knows what you can take and what you can't take. But my question to you is, when God made the bush burn, but it didn't consume in a fire, was that a miracle? Okay. The answer is yes and no. From man's perspective, it was a miracle. What about from God's perspective? Do you think from God's point of view, it was a miracle to him? No, it wasn't. It's just something he can do, but it defies our physics, right? But was it a miracle to God? No, he could easily do that. but he understands it's a miracle from the point of view of man. So man sees a burning bush and it's not burning. That's a miracle because it defies logic. It defies physics. But from God's point of view, it's not a miracle, is it? So who's more real, God or you? He did it for a very down-to-earth reason, more practical than you realize. I'll give you another example. When God parted the Red Sea, so the Hebrews could get onto the promised land, do you understand? Through the leadership of Moses. Okay, the Red Sea parted. Was that a miracle? Yes and no. From man's point of view, it was absolutely a supernatural miracle. What about from God's perspective? It wasn't a miracle. It's something he could easily do. It's not a miracle to him, but to us, it is a miracle. Do you understand the different perspectives? To us, it's a miracle. To God, it's just something he can do. But he did it for a very down-to-earth reason, didn't he? So 2 million Hebrews could get through the Red Sea without drowning. They had children, they had animals, they had all kinds of stuff. Most historians believe there was around 2 million of them, okay? 2 million people going through a sea. Most of the children probably would have drowned. God parted it so they'd have dry ground to walk across to get through. And then because God is multidimensional, he doesn't do things just for one reason. He also did it so the Egyptians that were chasing after they actually drowned when he returned this, when he made the sea come back together. Now,
some of you may think, well, yeah, he did that to the Egyptians. But let me tell you something. Think of the point of view from the Egyptians. They had over 10 plagues come their way. They had a snake eat 2 of their snakes. Okay, you're going to have to read the Bible. I'm not going to tell the whole story. Read it in Exodus. Okay, they had a bunch of things happen. And then finally they took out after Moses and his people, but they ended up drowning in the Red Sea. You think, well, why was that? Because God wanted the Egyptians to believe in him too. You understand that? I'm sure when the ones that didn't die in the Red Sea went back to Egypt, they had a story to tell. You understand? Which made them believe in the same God as the Hebrews. In other words, God blessed them too. Don't think he didn't. So anyway, that's a couple of things to help you realize that God's sense of reality, and reality is a funny word, but God's sense of reality is different than yours. But my question is, who's more real, you or God? Is heaven more real than this place, this world? The answer is yes. Okay, this world is kind of it's a dark world. It's kind of like a wilderness. Satan made it into a wilderness. Okay, he did. He made it a very confusing place. Okay, he did. He kind of turned the world upside down. Nevertheless, heaven is more real than this place. It is. This universe is a synthetic universe. It's just created. An example I'll give you is the moon because it's less complicated than the earth. It did not take God millions of years to make the moon. He did it on the 4th day. He did it, though, with craters in it, with asteroids already hit it. He made it that way on the 4th day. He didn't make it nice and smooth and powdery and then throw a bunch of asteroids at it for millions of years and then said, okay, that's done. Let's move on to the sun. He did it on the 4th day to make it look as old as it looks now with all the craters in it. On the 4th day. This is a synthetic world. It's not real. The invisible part of you is more real than this physical world. Do you understand what I just said? The invisible part of you, your soul, your spirit, your mind, and your heart, are more real than your physical body. The invisible part of you is more real than anything in this world, the physical world. Do you understand what I'm telling you? When you are resurrected, you're going to be given a new body. This body is temporary. It's going to live until it dies and then it turns back into dust, right? So, and it's held together by billions of cells,
billions of atoms. What holds it all together? Why doesn't it just fall apart? Because God made it that way. He who is unlimited, limited stuff. Do you understand that? What I'm telling you? These are pearls of wisdom, okay? So let's kind of go over what I just said, okay? This world was created. It didn't evolve, okay? The invisible reality within you is more real than the physical reality which you're living in. Heaven is more real than this place. It is. You just can't see it with these eyes. You can't. All you can see is this world with these eyes. You understand? Ask Christ into your heart. And someday, when he wants to, he'll open up your spiritual eyes so you're able to see things you never knew.